important questions of the accounting subject, as you know that only few days left for your upcoming examination of the JAIIB. So if you're new on the Officers Adda 247, hit the subscribe button so that you can get regular update from our side, and download the Adda 247 application so that you can get everything at a one place. Okay. So before to start this session, I would like to say, today is the day when your selection batch is going to start. Okay, that means today is the 20th of May, and today the fresh batch is going to start like from 7, like you can see, from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m, right? So if I talk about the accounting subject, then I will take the class like from 9 to 10 p.m. Okay, so I will catch you there if you're just enrolling in this selection batch. Okay, so in this selection batch, you are going to get the mock test, e-books, live classes, recorded classes, everything you are going to get. The thing you have to do, just apply the code Y422, because with this code you are going to get the big discount on this batch. Okay, so let's start today's session with the very first question. Okay, for your accounting subject, and just try to solve by your side first. Okay, so like how to understand these kind of the questions in the examination, and how you can just solve this examination, the in the exam, like this question in the examination, that is a very important thing to understand, right? Okay, so whenever we talk about the chapter that is a trial balance, so in the trial balance you have to understand what is a trial balance, what are the different purposes and features of the trial balance. Okay, and like classification of the errors and the rectification of the errors. So when we talk about the rectification of the errors, and if I talk about the chapter that is trial balance, this is the most important chapter of your accounting subject. Okay, so that means rectification of the errors is a favorite topic of the examiner. Okay, so if I talk about 80,000 is spent by a firm for repairs of its building has been debited to the building account. Okay, that means whatever the expenses you had done, that means you can understand you actually debited to the asset account, right? So you can understand how to rectify this kind of the error that you have to find out. So the very first thing, whenever you have to do the questions of the rectification of the entry, first make the correct entry. Okay, that means what should be the correct entry for this transaction. So if I talk about that 80,000 is spent by a firm for repairs of its buildings has been debited to building account. The very first thing that you can understand by this line, that 80,000 is spent by a firm for repair of its building. That means there would be just introduction of the one account that can be understandable as a repair and maintenance account. Okay, so in short, we can just understand that is the repair account. Okay, you can say the repair and maintenance account, and the another account that going to credit, that is a cash account. Now you can understand a very important thing. Whenever you feel like that is uncomfortable while making the debit and credit, like which account should be debited and which account should be the credited, the very important thing you have to understand, like you have to understand, if I talk about the cash, so cash comes under which account category? That is, you can understand, because cash is the asset for the company, and asset comes under the real account category. So you can understand, if you just incur the expenses for the company, that means you incur the expenses for the company, right? So if you incur the expenses for the company, for that you actually just understand the cash is going out from your business. Okay, cash is going out from your company, and whenever we talk about the cash is going out from the company, you can understand debit what comes in, debit what comes in, and credit what goes out. That means cash account should be credited in this place, right? So like if you just understand this term, that repair is just kind of the expense comes under the nominal account category, and the for nominal account category, debit all the expenses and losses and credit all the income and gains. Okay, for that you can understand that repair account should be debited while cash account should be credited in this situation. Okay, next, what exactly happened by you? Now you can understand like what mistake has been done. So if I talk about like on the debit side, by mistake the building account is debited. That means you actually by mistake you actually debited the building account while cash account is at the right place. Okay, so now you can understand the very first thing that you have to do, you have to nullify this error. How you can nullify this error? That if you credit the building account, okay, so if you credit the building account, then you can nullify this error. Okay, while what you want, that you actually want that cash account should be on the credit side, then you can see that cash account is on the right place. Okay, now what you needed the repair account would be on the debit side. So the correct answer, that should be the debit repairs and credit building. That should be your correct answer for this question. Okay, this is how you have to solve the questions in the examination. Next question. A firm has undercast the sales book by 1,250, and which of the following kinds of the error it would be considered? Now in this question there is some catch, because most of the bankers, most of the colleagues actually think that this is the error of your omission. Okay, but this is not the error of the omission, this is the error of the commission. Okay, the correct answer, that should be the error of the commission, where we are actually talk about when you mistake, when you do the mistake in the totaling. Okay, you can understand if any firm has undercast the sales book, that means the firm actually done the mistake while just recording the sales or while just totaling the sales. Okay, because here we are talking about the undercast the sales book. Okay, so that means there would be which kind of the error, that is the error of the commission, right? I hope it is understandable for everyone. So error of the commission, that is all about you to understand whenever you are talking about, you actually post the transaction. Basically if I talk about, that is wrong amount, that is wrong totaling. Okay, okay, you can also understand that is wrong balancing of the like debit or the credit, right? So this is how you have to understand the questions, right? Next question. What is the amount of the gross profit when opening stock is given, purchases are given, cost of goods sold are given, and the sales are given? You have to find out the gross profit. Okay, how you can just find out the gross profit? The very first thing that if I say, you have to stick with your concept, because concept stays there, but the questions changes. Okay, so when we talk about the gross profit is equal to what? That is net sales minus, sorry, net sales minus cost of goods sold. Okay, if I talk about what is the sales, what the sales are given, then you can say sales are given, that is 1,06,000 minus what is the cost of source, sorry, just a minute. Okay, so what the sales are given, that is 1,49,000 minus, and what is the cost of goods source are given, that is 1,06,000. Now just tell me what will be the answer of this question. Then you will say that is 40,000. There is nothing important for this information like the opening stock and the purchases are given. That is nothing important, because the like you only require the sales and the cost of goods source while calculating the gross profit. And in this type of the questions, like you can just confused in the examination. So you have to stick with your concept, like what is the formula for the gross profit? That is only the net sales minus cost of goods sold. Okay, this is the only thing that you have to understand. Okay, I hope it is understandable for everyone. Next question. Rebate on the bill of exchange in the books of the door would be treated as. Now if I talk about the rebate you can understand as a type of the discount. Okay, whenever we are talking about the discount you can understand is of the two types. The one that you can understand, the one is type of the allowed, and another one that is a kind of the received. Okay, so whenever we talking about the rebate on the bill of exchange in the book of the door, that means you can understand the door is actually the seller. Door is actually the seller, because when we talk about the door is actually the maker of the bill of exchange. Okay, so if the door is actually just giving the rebate on the bill of exchange, or you can understand it is a kind of the what, when we talk about the discount, what you consider that here, that would be the nominal account. Okay, right, that would be the nominal account. Okay, so the correct answer, that would be the nominal account. Like rebate on the bill of exchange in the book of the door would treat it as a nominal account. Okay, next question. A favorable balance as per the cash book means. Okay, Look, if I say the very important thing, whenever this kind of the questions you just find in the examination, you can relate it to, if I talk about the discount allowed, you can just understand if the seller is just want to receive the 150 rupees from the buyer. Okay, so this is a buyer. Suppose that seller just want to receive, like seller sold the items of the 150 rupees. So seller just sorry, so the seller just want the 150 rupees like against whatever the goods sold by the seller. Okay, so like suppose that if the discount is allowed by the door or the seller, you can understand now seller is just going to receive the 100 rupees because 50 rupees rebate that is given by the door. Okay, so this kind of the thing you can understand as a loss. Okay, you have to understand with a short trick method. This is a short trick method to understand like how to just recognize the discount allowed and the discount received. So you can understand this is a kind of the loss for the door. Okay, that means whenever we are just comparing the discount allowed and discount received, so discount allowed would always be considered as a loss for the who just going to giving the discount, and the discount received is considered as, you know what, discount received, that is considered as a profit for who is just going to receive that. Okay, so you can just relate it to that, and then you just find that what would be your answer of this question. Next question. A favorable balance as per the cash book means, the very important thing you always have to understand whenever we talk about the cash book, there would be a two side, that is debit and credit. Okay, so on the debit side we actually keep all the cash receipts, while on the credit side we keep all the cash payments. Now just tell me the very important thing, whenever we talk about the favorable balance as per the cash book means, that means debit balance in the bank column of the cash book. A favorable balance means that is debit balance in the bank column of the cash book. This is a very important question for your exam point of view also. Okay, so a cash book, an ideal cash book having like the debit balance, because it represents the account balance, or the, you can understand, the credit balance in the bank, okay, of the customer. So this is your cash book. I think it is understandable for everyone. Next question. Which of the following can be treated as indirect expense? Whenever we talk about the indirect expense, the simple thing you have to understand, like this is factory and this is the office and this is you. Okay, so you are the owner of, like you are the owner of any company, and that company is having the office as well as a factory outlet. Okay, so whatever the expenses we are talking about, like that is that directly associated with the factory level, you can just relate it to a direct expenses. And whatever the expenses that is related to your office's level, that you can understand as a indirect expenses. Okay, now just tell me, the question is which of the following can be treated as a indirect expenses, and the like lot of the options are given here, that is a wages expenses, selling expenses, carriage inward, all of the above. So what should be the answer? Whenever we talk about the wages here, the very important thing you can understand with the salary. Okay, so when we talk about the salary, where we are just providing like the salary to the office employees, and when we talk about the wages, we actually provide the wages to the factory laborers. Okay, so that means wages always considered as a direct expenses. Selling expenses, when we talk about the selling expenses, you can understand that actually done with the office level. Okay, so that's why it is considered as a indirect expenses. This is a very important thing to understand here. Okay, I hope it is understandable for everyone. While carriage inward, you can understand if any thing that is required for producing the goods. Okay, you can understand we actually use the carriage inward. Okay, so that expense is known as a direct expenses. So the correct answer of this, that would be the selling expenses. Right, next question. The passbook of the firm has been showing debit balance of 75,000. It is observed that bank has not debited a check of the 1,000 rupees issued by the firm and has debited 300 rupees on account of the interest. What is the balance as per the cash book? Now the very important thing, because when we talk about the cash book and when we talk about the passbook, you have to understand what component we keep on the debit side and what component we keep on the credit side. That is a very important thing you have to understand. Okay, so when we talk about the debit side, you can understand like whatever the cash receipts, whatever the cash receipts we talk about, that all cash receipts we are going to we are going to record on the debit side of the cash book. And when we talk about the cash payments, then all the cash payments is going to be recorded under the credit side of the cash book. Okay, now when we talk about the passbook, you can understand all the cash payments just going to record under the debit side of the passbook, while all the cash receipts going to be recorded under the credit side of the passbook, because cash book and the passbook both are mirror image of the each other. Whatever the things we record on the debit side of the cash book, that actually represent the credit side of the passbook. Now you can understand, we often understandable as a debit balance of the cash book as a account balance. Okay, account balance of the customer, right? So when we talk about the passbook form has been showing debit balance of the 75,000. That means passbook of the firm has been showing the debit balance. Now you can understand it is a something that is a liability of the customer that have to pay. And if it is a kind of the liability, then you can understand it is nothing but the overdraft value given or the loan taken by the customer that is given. Okay, so if it is given like the cash payments of the customer, that is the of the 75,000 rupees, that then you can understand you will write as a minus 75,000 rupees. Okay, now you have to make the table like this, that is cash book and the passbook. Now just read the one by one every condition here, that it is observed that bank has not debited a check of the 1,000 rupees. That means customer actually issued the 1,000 rupees check, okay, to one of its you can understand, to one of its creditor, and but bank is not debited a check of the 1,000 that is issued by the firm. That means in the bank statement it is reflecting as a zero. Now just tell me, cash book balance is a lesser than or the greater than the passbook. Then you will say that cash book balance is a lesser than the passbook. And if it is lesser than the passbook, then you will just write the minus 1,000. Okay, now when we talk about another condition, that has debited 300 on account of the interest, because it is a kind of the loan that is taken by the customer. You can understand bank actually charge the 300 rupees as a interest, but customer is not aware of that. For this transaction, cash book balance is a greater than or lesser than the passbook. You will say it is greater than the passbook. Then what would be your answer? Your answer, that would be the 75,700. What should be your answer? That is 75,700. And you can understand it is it is come actually with a negative signal. Okay, that means in the cash book, when we talk about like on the credit side and on the debit side, so on the credit side we actually record all the cash payments, or you can also understand that all the liabilities, all the cash liabilities of the customer, you can understand. So you can understand the correct answer of this, that would be the 75,700 or like credit, because we are talking about the balance as per the cash book. And on the cash book, you can understand on the credit side we actually record all the cash payments. Okay, so this is how we actually solve the questions in the examination also. I hope you all just understanding this thing here. Next question. If there is an overdraft with the bank column of the cash book will show. Okay. Now just tell me, if there is an overdraft with the bank, that means we are talking about the loan. We are talking about the liability of the customer. Okay. And where we represent the liability of the customer in the cash book. Now just tell me what would be the answer of this. That would be the credit balance, right? So the bank column of the cash book will show the credit balance. That should be the correct answer for this question. Okay. I hope it is understandable for everyone. Next question. The balance of the machine account on the 31st March 2021 is 72,900 rupees. The machine was purchased on the 1st of April 2018. So depreciation is charged 10% per annum by diminishing balance method. So the cost price of the machine on the 1st of April 2018 would be, okay. Whenever we talk about the diminishing balance method or written down value method, reducing balance method, you have to understand on that depreciation rate would always applicable on the previous year and value. That's it. Okay. So what we are understanding, whenever we talk about the diminishing, reducing, return down value method, depreciation rate would always applicable on the previous year and value. right? So now if I have to just find out what is the cost price of the machine that on the 1st April 2018, you can understand we are talking about the 3 years. Okay, what we are talking about, we are talking about we actually purchased the machine on the 1st of April 2018, and the balance on the machine account on the 31st March 2021. That means this is considered as a 3 years, and now the balance of the machine, that is 72,900. So the machine was purchased on this, okay, and depreciation is charged 10%. Now how to solve this kind of the questions, so you can understand, because here given that is 72,900, this is the value we having on the 31st March 2021. We have to just find out the cost price. So how if we can find out, we can just find out with a very easiest method, that x, like suppose that the cost price of the machine, that is x, and that would be multiplied with the point 0.9, point 0.9, point 0.9, and that would be equal to the 72,900. Now just tell me what would be the value of this, then this would become the 729. That means this would be the your answer, that is 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so this is how you have to solve the questions in the examination also. I hope it is understandable. Because depreciation is charged 10%, you can understand for the first year the cost of the machine, that would be your point 0.9 or 90% of the real value. Okay, after that for the second year again 90% of the real value. Okay, after the second year, for the third year again for the 90%, that would remain the value of the machine. So how this is how we actually solve the questions in the examination also, right? Next question. Which of the following expenses is not included in the acquisition cost of a plant and equipment? You know, the very important thing you have to understand whenever we talk about like which of the following expenses not included in the acquisition cost, the very important thing whenever you read the depreciation chapter, the total cost of asset. So total cost of the asset include all the expenses that actually incurred on that asset. Okay, till it reaches like till after after, you can understand, when you purchase the asset, so whatever the installation cost, whatever the carriage inward, okay, so all expenses you can just sum up, and that actually make the total cost of the asset. Okay, so if I talk about the which of the following expenses not included in the acquisition cost of the plant and equipment, you actually talking about the total cost of that asset. Okay, so here you will include the installation cost, that is correct. Freight and transportation charges, that is correct. Interest paid on loan taken for the purchase of the plant and machinery. When we talk about the total cost of the machine, okay, so you can understand we actually talking about like whatever the installation cost, whatever the freight and transportation charges, whatever the cost of site preparation, okay, so that all cost included there. And when we talk about the interest paid on loan taken, that is another concept. Okay, so the correct answer, that would be your C, that is interest paid on loan taken for the purchase of plant and machinery. This would be just different from your total cost of the asset. Okay, I hope it is understandable for everyone. Suppose that we are talking about you purchase a today machine, that is a 5 lakh rupees, and the installation cost, that is a 10,000. Okay, and we talk about the freight and transportation charges, that is 5,000. Okay, so there you can understand the total cost of the machine, that would be the 5,60,000 rupees. We are talking about the today's or say whatever the asset we purchase today, what is the real value of that we have to include. Okay, so that's why your answer, that would be C, like this expense is not included in the acquisition cost of a plant and the equipment. Okay, so I hope this lecture is sufficient for you, and I hope you all guys just understood this session. If you like our effort, just hit the like button on this video. Okay, so the very important thing I would like to say here, that the big interbank quiz that is just going to be held on the 22nd of May, and that is just live at the 11th of AM, right? So like today is the last day for your this registration. Okay, and till 5 p.m. you can register for this the big interbank quiz. Just participate in this. Okay, and just win big, participate and win big, and just the name is the big interbank quiz. Okay, so you have to just register till 5 p.m. today. Today is the last date, and 5 p.m. is the last deadline for this for registration. Okay, now The very important thing I would also like to say, because your examination is just nearby, and you can just purchase, you can just enroll for the bilingual as well as the English medium batches for your JIB examination. Okay, you only have to use the code Y422, and with this code you are going to get the big discount on that. The another thing that the test packs, when we talk about the test packs, you can understand it actually gives the final test to your preparation. So this is a very important if you are just going to just attempt this examination of the JIB, right? So you are going to get the flat 17% off with the code of the Y422, right? So thank you everyone for joining me in this session. Now we'll meet on the tomorrow at the same time. So like this